Hello everyone, and welcome to School Psychology with Dominique. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about working as a school psychologist during a pandemic. The district that I work in has gone back as hybrid since September, but as of March of last school year, we were closed. And so during that time, everything got halted. We weren't able to do testing. We weren't able to complete observations. So therefore, we weren't able to complete reports. And we were really worried about when we'd come back, the pileup that was going to happen because of the fact that we didn't get any of that testing done and that new triennials were coming up and potential new initials were coming up. And we were wondering how we were going to absorb all of that as we were already feeling like we were drowning as it was. So in July, our district was able to gather a team of individuals, and myself included, of school psychologists, of occupational therapists, and special education teachers, where we were able to come back and do some testing in July. All we did was a straight cognitive processing and whatever area of expertise testing that we were doing. We weren't able to do observations and things like that. We did testing observations, but the kids weren't in school, so we couldn't do those other observations. And unfortunately, the speech pathologists didn't choose to come back over the summer, so they didn't get their testing done. So they're still having to do a lot of that testing at this time. But I was lucky enough that I was able to actually get a lot of the testing done for both school sites that I'm at. And the way they had set it up was we actually we're at a district location on one site where everyone was had their own classroom, which was pretty neat. And we had a plexiglass that divided us and the child. We had to wear masks. The child had to wear a mask. We had to ask the parents interviews before they came in of whether or not they've been exposed to somebody with corona, whether they were traveling, and there was a list of all those questions. Additionally, they also had their temperature checked before they came in so that we would know if they had a fever or not. And they had to wear their masks with us at all times. And then we were given PPE equipment such as masks for ourselves or for the students if they ended up needing it. We had wipes. We had now we have spray. We had face shields if we needed that as well. And we were able to conduct the testing. So the plexiglass that I had a wood frame around it and was on legs. And I liked this. At first I was nervous about the space, I'm not gonna lie. There was a space underneath, so I'm like, well, if they sneeze in there, I'm done, But the space allows us to be able to put materials underneath. So for a lot of our testing, we do need to show them things to point to and things like that. So we don't have the iPads. I know that there are tests that are on iPads, but unfortunately we don't have that. So we do still have the books. And one of my favorite tests to use actually was the DOS, because a lot of it is flat. So I'd keep it flat, I'd put it underneath, and then I'd put one of those clear plastic, I forget what those things are called. It has a thing that you could put paper in it. Blanking on the name right now, but I think you know what I mean. And so I'd put that clear plastic on top before I asked them to point to anything, and I'd give them hand sanitizer before they touched anything. I would use hand sanitizer myself as an example for the child. And then I'd have them point to the material on the plastic. I'd flip the page, put the plastic back, and then put it back under. And then whenever I was done with the testing with that child, I would just wipe down that plastic, put it on the side and let it dry, and the books were safe. Whenever I used the blocks for block design, I would also I would sanitize our hands right before I gave them the blocks. I would sanitize mine as well. And then when they were done, I'd sanitize each block right away and put it back in the bag. So it's a lot more work. It does take a little bit more time for us. So we do have to sanitize before and after every child comes in. But it's doable, and the kids were actually pretty good about it, especially those that came in July, because they were on lockdown too with the rest of us, so they didn't have places to go, they didn't have much to do. So for them, this was actually an outing, and they were just excited to be out, which was actually really great for us. I was nervous that they'd be angry, upset, or frustrated, or anxious, but for the most part, all the kids did great. The hardest population would be those with severe disabilities. As they don't really understand what the masks are for, the cleanliness of everything is also not something that they're understanding. I had a child that I tested when we went back to school, and around their desks, they have these like plastic things, like just like surrounding them at all sides. And he just got up, stood up, came on my side and just licked it. I mean, he doesn't understand. He didn't know why. Like, I mean, I don't know. He doesn't even know why he did that, I'm sure. But we do have to work around those things. So in those types of classrooms, there are protections that we have had, as like gowns if we wanted to wear those before we went in, gloves for sure, and the mask, and you can wear a shield on top and all those things. And it's still, I don't feel like the tests have been ruined. Like, people were concerned about the phonological assessments, that the kids won't be able to hear what we're saying, but that has been fine. The TAPS has been, a lot of the tests have moved to the computer anyway, so you just play the computer for most of them, and that's fine. I've never had a kid say, I can't hear you, I can't understand you, and I've been using pretty thick masks. I've been very careful about that. So for those of you who haven't done it yet, or who have been able to do just record reviews and continue like that, when we get back into school, when you guys get back to school, it is possible and it does work. And there are just little tricks like that. You just need the plexiglass. You need one of those clear see-through pages that you could just stick on top and just wipe it down afterwards. Have a lot of hand sanitizer. I like to have the spray as well, because I spray it down before and after every child comes in. And before, anytime I have them touch anything, because you know, they start touching their mask and like they're like moving it and doing all kinds of things. I'm like, well, you just touched your face essentially, like, please, like, keep your hands clean. So I do give them hand sanitizer before almost anything I have them touch. And they've been really great. Kids have been great. The kids in the schools, for those of you that haven't opened, for the most part, the kids are doing great with the masks. They're doing great about staying where they are. Again, I feel like they appreciate the fact that they're able to be at school. Many of these kids are tired of being at home. Like, they don't have great circumstances, or they're bored, they don't have someone to play with. I know I felt like a bully when my kids were at home, because my daughter, all she wanted to do was play with me during recess. I'm like, well, I'm working, so I can't play with you. And I felt really bad, but now she goes to school and she's able to at least see her friends and talk with them, play a game of tag where they're like, it's shadow tag, and like, you know, they're working around it. The kids are resilient. They're amazing. So it's doable. I'm more concerned about the adults, you know, like during lunch or whatever, when we try to get together. As a generation, we're used to like being like just gathering a certain way, and then gathering together, gathering close contact. And if they take off their mask, you feel like you have to take off your mask, because that's just like the culturally acceptable thing to do, you know, pre-COVID and everything. And you don't want them to feel like, oh, I think you have COVID, that's why I'm not going to take off my mask. You know, like, you don't want people to feel a certain way when you're not doing what they're doing. So I think that's been the real problem, is it has been the faculty. Like, we're not comfortable with it. We're not used to it. We want to be comfortable with each other. We don't want to make each other feel uncomfortable. And so that's when the spreading has been happening, is that when the adults like really get together. But you know, we need that kind of social interaction. The kids, I mean, at first they were like, oh, the kids are spreaders, shut down the schools. And now they're going back and saying the kids aren't spreading anything. I don't believe that the kids can't spread it. I do still think the kids can spread it. It's just in the school system, we've been separating them as much as physically possible. And we've been really trying hard to sanitize everything after they've been using it, and minimizing how long they're together, minimizing how many kids are in a room at any given time. I mean, we're, as adults, like controlling the environment as much as possible. The difficult thing is if others lie, like if a parent is, let's say a parent has COVID, and then they just send their kids to school anyways, and they just don't want to tell anybody about it because the kids are fine. That's when we can get into some problems. But overall, we've been separating them so much that it is harder for them to spread it. It's easier for the adults to spread it because we get comfortable with each other, and then that's when things can be dangerous. But as long as we're all super paranoid, then I think we'll be good. So if you have any questions about working during this time, please put comments in the comment section. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.